Welcome to On the Corner of Main Street, presented by Plaza Hotel and Casino in downtown Las Vegas. Here is Plaza CEO Jonathan Jossel, Russell Aaron, Gary Vickery, and I'm your host, Lisa Melmed. Hey, Jonathan, how you doing today?
Good, Lisa. Good to see you again. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Nice to have you back.
I drove back, and driving back from California, I was in California, and I was driving back, and we drove by the South Point and couldn't help but notice. It's like the welcome to Las Vegas. After, like, you drive through with the prim, but then the real welcome to Las Vegas is the South Point.
You know you're home when you see that.
You know you're home when you see that. And today we are joined by a very exciting guest. We're joined by General Manager of the South Point Hotel and Casino, Ryan Growney. Welcome to On the Corner of Main Street.
Thank you so much. This is fantastic. I can't tell you the last time I was downtown. There's some pretty exciting things going on down here. I don't get this far north very often.
I see that. Yeah.
I live out there in the south end of town, and I go to the South Point and back, and so I like getting out a little bit and checking things out. And man, there's some excitement going on down here.
Well, thank you for joining us, Ryan. It's good to have you down here, and it's good that you get to see downtown a little bit. You know, we're not the forgotten part of the city. We're still trying to make a comeback here, so it's nice to have you finally come down and see some of the improvements.
After we're done here, I'm gonna go take a walk about and see all the things going on, because it's neat. I mean, it's downtown's always been a fun place. It's just too far away from me.
Yeah, it is far, that's for sure. Especially when you're 24/7 in the South Point. Always something going on there.
So tell us about yourself and how you got to where you are today at the South Point.
I was born and raised in Las Vegas and went to Gorman High School, and I ended up picking up a scholarship, which, rest in peace, John Thompson. I was manager of the Georgetown men's basketball team. Got the offer to go there for that, picked up, and it's a wonderful opportunity. I wasn't nearly a good enough athlete to become a collegiate athlete, played a little football in high school, but I was good enough to be the manager of the team at Georgetown, and my first year at Georgetown was Coach Thompson's last year. So unfortunately, I only got to really experience him for 1 year. But what an incredible man. I mean, I hope there's been quite a bit of coverage, and all of it's deservingly so. He was a pioneer, and what he did with those men that went through that program is truly incredible. So
was he from Vegas originally?
No, he was DC. I mean, he moved around, but he was in the DC area coaching high school when they picked him up. But he was friends with Michael Gaughan, and I actually met him when I was in high school one time. And he said, "Are your grades good enough to get into Georgetown?" And I said, "I'm going to be a valedictorian of Bishop Gorman." So I said, "I think so." And he said, "Well, can you play basketball?" I said, "No, not a lick." And he said, "Well, if you think you might want to be a manager, why don't you give me a call?" And so I called Brendan Gaughan, who also played. He was a walk-on at Georgetown.
You knew him? You knew him before? You went to school together?
Brendan?
Yeah.
He's older than me. He's 5 years older than I am.
Okay.
But I've known the Gaughan. My dad and Michael Gaughan go back to Nebraska days.
Okay.
So I've been around the Gaughan family my entire life.
So that's how you knew to call Brendan?
Correct. So Coach said, call Brendan and say, see, what do you think? And I called and I said, hey, Coach Thompson just offered me a manager's job at Georgetown. And I had no idea what that meant. And he said, hang up the phone, call him back, and say you'll take it. Okay. And I said, okay. And I did it, and it was just an absolute, your freshman year is jockstraps and Gatorade. But by my junior year, I was doing travel arrangement for the team, working with the hotels on all those accommodations, working with Nike on all the uniforms. My senior year, I was actually the first manager in Big East history. The team named me team captain, which is a pretty good honor to be able to get that kind of confidence from your guys. First manager named team captain, which is awesome. So love Georgetown, but I'm a West Coast guy, so I came right back to Las Vegas, and I was working in the Coast Casino's carpenter shop, getting ready to go to law school, and in the same building as the Las Vegas School of Dealing, and I'd always wanted to learn how to deal. And so I went to dealer school for a couple weeks, and I was going to deal for the summer and then go to law school. I took my LSATs, though, and I never applied to law school.
Yeah.
I went to dealer school instead and started pitching cards and just fell in love with the environment.
You actually did the dealership internship afterwards? You had the dealing internship?
I dealt, so Las Vegas School of Dealing, normal dealer school, and then they put me on graveyard at the Orleans Casino.
So I went to Las Vegas School of Dealing too.
Okay.
But I wasn't able to do an internship because I didn't have a visa. So I wasn't able to actually get a job at a casino, but I learned the games, but then never was able to put them into practice. I'm jealous you actually you did graveyard?
I did graveyard for a while, and then I moved around. So I did it for a year and a half.
Nice.
Got to deal all the games. I never dealt live poker, which I think I would have enjoyed. But I loved being a dealer. I loved the social aspect of it. It's a great job. I mean, it truly is. You work for an hour, you get a 20-minute break, work for an hour, and every once in a while you get some guys on the table that might get a little cross with you. But for the most part, if you got halfway good set of people skills, you can work through those. And
you could deal craps?
I could deal craps, yeah. I would not say I was a great craps dealer. To be a good craps dealer, it's tough. It's years.
Yep.
I mean, it is years. It is an art form.
I agree with you.
To be a good craps dealer. I still enjoy watching a jammed up craps game, but it starts moving a little fast. If I was to have to, now I could never get back in there and try.
Yeah, no.
But working the stick and working the base, yeah. So
I find myself sometimes when I'm watching a good roll, I'm like trying to do the math in my head. I'm like, yeah, I couldn't do what they're doing. The speed they're going.
It's impressive.
Yeah,
it's impressive.
Rich wants to know: did you catch any cheaters or any exciting stories when you were dealing?
Oh, none come to mind. Heck, that was 20 years ago. But there's always exciting stories.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's guys on a run or whether it's just people having a great time, right? And you get to be a part of that, and you get to talk to them. And if you're a good enough dealer that you can be a clean dealer, deal a clean game, don't make any mistakes, but you have that personal interaction with them going, and you learn their stories. And at the Orleans, we would have people come back every 2 to 3 months, and they'd ask for you to be their dealer because it's a lot of fun, and then you get to know them. It was really that's what I fell in love with the business, quite honestly. It's just that type of environment, the excitement to be in the pit is just, it's so much fun. And I decided I wanted to stay in it. And so I talked to Mr. Gaughan, and he said, well, then you got to learn hotel. So they put me on graveyard night audit at the front desk at the Suncoast.
So he was the owner of the Coast properties back then?
He still owned the Coast properties. Yeah,
right.
This would have been in 2002.
Okay.
So now it's 2003, maybe into 2000. Yeah, probably 2003. Went to the Suncoast and worked the front desk and just worked the night audit and learned at the time. So we're HIS system would have been back then, and just get through that so you can work your way through the hotel management system. And still loved it, even on graveyard. Now you're dealing with hotel guests in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So, they're lost or they're drunk or whatever you got to handle for them. So I did that for another year, and then jumped in the food department, and then things changed because Boyd Gaming was coming in to buy or merge with Coast Casinos. And while the Mr. Gaughan's organization is very flat, he has a general manager, him general manager, and then department heads. Where Boyd has a more corporate structure, where it's GMs, assistant GMs, director of operations, assistant director of operations, casino director of casino operations, casino. So it's a lot of spots. And Mr. Gaughan had a lot of spots to fill at his 4 properties, building the 5th, which was the South Coast at the time. So guys in my position that had some flexibility and could move around, I was a single guy, no kids, whatever you needed me to do, wherever you needed me to be, that's where they'd call and say, do you want, I'd say, I'll go, let's go.
Yep.
And I ended up at the Barbary Coast as the hotel manager, and then they needed an assistant.
Barbary Coast is now where the Cromwell is, and
Yep.
you had the original Dre's back there.
Correct. Yeah, Mr. Gaughan brought, I think he brought the first that first after hours club to the scene where
that was the place.
That was the place for a lot of years. And now it's the Cromwell. So I was there for how long I can't remember, but hotel manager there. And then I actually went out to the South Coast. I was assistant GM at the South Coast just to help get the property open. It's one thing to work in a property, but to have to go through all the steps to get a property open, what a wonderful learning experience that is. And so I was at the South Coast, and then we have an arena and equestrian center. And
I'm going to ask a stupid
Absolutely.
question. Is the South Coast now the South Point?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
You just changed the name when you merged.
When Mr. Gaughan merged out, Boyd Gaming bought the brand Coast Casinos, so they had the name Coast Casinos. Sun Coast was Barbary Coast, Gold Coast, and South Coast. When Mr. Gaughan left, they said you can't have the Coast name, so he changed it from South Coast to South Point. So we only had to change three letters on the big sign. It was the cheapest way to do it. And we had the arena and equestrian center back then. And so growing up, all through high school and college, I worked for a rodeo stock contracting company. So I was in high school, and then the week after school let out, I got dropped off in California, and I worked for a rodeo company, Growney Brothers Rodeo Company.
Okay.
And it's like the circus, but for rodeo.
Is this your family?
It's a long-lost cousin. We actually don't even know exactly how we're related.
Okay.
We met at the NFR one year, and he says all Growneys when you're old enough to drive, and I was probably 11 years old. He says, come work for me for a summer. Well, when you're 11, you're never going to get to 16, right? Especially you get to go be a cowboy. And every year he'd come up, and we went one night a year to the NFR. I've been one night a year since I was born, and then I think it was first year was 82, so whenever, you little kid. And
yeah,
then,
I knew you were committed when last year you had a baby and then went to the rodeo right away.
Well, they put me on the NFR committee, so you
had to be there.
The commitment was a little bit larger. I don't think I could.
How old was your baby at that time?
She was born. So she was born on. So the rodeo started on Thursday. She was born on Friday. We were in the hospital Friday night, Saturday night. Took her home Sunday, and I was at the rodeo on Monday. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. She's 9 months old now. But the NFR committee was a great honor, just because I had been growing up around the rodeo, and then I went to work for Growney Brothers Rodeo Company. In the first year, I didn't know anything. I bought 2 pairs of jeans, 5 T-shirts, and a stupid-looking cowboy hat, and they dropped me off. They took me straight away to the country store, got me outfitted, and the first year you're just kind of like the manager's job. You're just feeding the animals and doing all the grunt work, and you get up early in the morning and go take care of whatever city you're in you have to do, and then the next year I learned how to ride a horse a little bit. The next year I learned how to rope a little bit, and then years 4, 5, 6, and 7, it got to the point where I could fake it enough being a horseback and doing some of those things. Get in the arena, run the bulls out, all of those things. Then went to college. So I rodeoed all summer, and then I managed the basketball team all winter. And then I realized the rodeo life doesn't pay real well. It's about a 6-pack of Coors Light a week in a hotel room. So I quit that, and that's when I got in the casino side of things. But I was at the South Coast, and we had a guy that was running the arena, and he quit. He had an opportunity to do something else, so he left a week before the first show. So Mr. Gaughan said, go home, get your jeans and your boots. You're running the equestrian center. And I said, sir, I don't know anything, zero about running an equestrian center. Right. And what I've learned very quickly is horse show people and rodeo people are very different. You're in jeans and you're in a cowboy hat, but it was a different, quick learning curve. But we got the thing open. We had the first several events, and it went well enough. But I wanted to get back in the casino side of things.
So you're saying when you merged, there was already the arena there. They were doing the equestrian and rodeo stuff. Who had that idea to put an arena and underground? Were all those horse stalls that are there today underground already back then?
Michael and Paula Gaughan.
They just knew this was something we could do with the South Coast at the time.
So they've been cowboys. Mr. Gaughan's been a cowboy his whole life. Mrs. Gaughan was in the discipline of cutting horses her whole life as well. Her daughter is a huge cutter. Her husband is the main cutting horse trainer in town, and they have a ranch.
Is that the one where they pin?
They cut the cow from the herd.
Yeah, and then they got to try to get back to the herd.
So you ride into a big herd. So if there's 20 guys in the class, there's 60 guys in the arena, or 60 cows in the arena, and you just ride in pretty slow, and you cut one cow.
You break it away.
And that cow's natural instinct is to get back to the safety of the herd. Because if not, you get branded, you get your horns lopped off, you get turned into a cheeseburger. You want to get back to your buddies. And that horse's only job is to keep that cow cut from the herd, and then you're judged on how well that horse performs on that cow.
Okay, yeah, I watched that over your place one time. That was the first time I'd seen that one.
Yeah, it's
but that's not an NFR event.
No, it's a lot more fun to do than it is to watch.
Got it.
But Paula Gaughan used to do cuttings out at her ranch in northwest Las Vegas. So they would bring a couple hundred cowboys and cowgirls to town. She'd set up temporary stalls at her ranch, and they'd store them there, and then they'd house all the contestants at the Sun Coast. And they realized it's a niche in this town that doesn't exist. It's a wonderful caliber of customer. And so when he was building the South Coast, he already had the Orleans. He has a beautiful mid-size arena. So he had that. And he says, I'm going to build an equestrian center. So they went around and talked to all the organizations, the cutting horse, the reining horse, the rein cow horse, the team ropers, the barrel racers. And they said, no one's going to come. It's too hot in Vegas. No one's going to drive that far from Texas. No one's going to want to come. And he says, I'm going to do it anyway. And so that first year, we only had 4 or 5 events for the whole year. Yeah. Well, now this year, fast forward 15 years, we don't have an open weekend. Right. So it's
even still now.
Well, now doesn't count.
Now doesn't count.
We went dark that March 4th, and everything got canceled. And then we brought our first event back, the Cowboy Mounted Shooting. We did a small event. So the arena and equestrian center, people don't realize, but it's 1,200 horse stalls, vet clinic, feed store, farriers area. We have 3 competition arenas, an indoor practice facility, and now we're building an outdoor covered practice facility. It's 500,000 square feet. So when you're talking a couple hundred horses, they are spread out as far as you could possibly want them to be spread out. We could do the event very safely, And so we were able to bring 3 weeks ago back the mounted shooters. And then this last weekend, we finished our first reined cow horse event. There's about 600 horses. And we invited the county commissioners out to see what we're doing, to understand how well we can run this operation. There's no fans. No one's. So we're more about the participatory access portion of these events. We want the people. So you can bring in. You bring somebody to a Carrie Underwood concert and you get 10,000 people or 15,000 people to your property, and then you hope 1,000 or 2,000 stay at the property afterwards and enjoy the other amenities of the casino. Or I can bring 1,000 or 2,000 people in for a horse show, and they're going to stay with you for 5, 6, and 7 days because they're going to stay where their horse is staying. They're going to stay where they're showing, and your
room key is also your horse stall key.
And your room key will get you into your horse stall. Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's just an awesome, and it's turned into we won for the first time last year. We won Horse Equestrian Center of the Year.
It is amazing.
It's incredible. It's the premier facility. There's a couple that are bigger, but because of like a lot of equestrian centers, you might like the Lazy. It's a wonderful facility, a lot of land, but to your hotel. So most people, you got to drive.
That's Texas. That's the one in Texas.
Oklahoma. So you got to drive 10 or 12 hours with the truck and trailer. You got to unload your horse. You got to go out back. You got to drop your trailer off. You got to load your bags in your truck. You drive your truck to the hotel, which might be 5 or 10 miles away. You unload your bags, you go check into your hotel room. Then you got to drive back and feed your animal. Then you got to go try to find a place to eat. And then you go back to your hotel and you do it all over the next day. South Point, truck and trailer pull in. We unload your bags. We unload your tack for you. We got barn bellmen that'll take your tack to your stall.
Wow.
You go in and check into your stall, the show, and your hotel room. We give you a room key right there. Hotel bellmen say, what room are you in? I'm in room 765. The hotel bellmen take your stuff to room 765. The barn bellmen take you to stall 1182. And then you drive out back. You park your rig. We pick you up in a John Deere Gator. We bring you back, and boom, your stuff's in your stall. Your bags are in your room, and you can compete. Bob Avalow's Horseman of the Year 3 or 4 times in a row the last several years. And he said, I ran into him in the barn, and he said, Growney. I said, hey, Bob. I said, how's the show going? He says, great. He says, you know what the best part about this place is? I said, what's that? He said, I've been here 10 days. I've eaten in a different restaurant for 10 straight nights. I performed in 3 different arenas, and I haven't seen the light of day. He said, you know what the worst thing about this place is? I said, okay, what's that? He goes, I've been here 10 days. I've eaten in a different restaurant for 10 straight days, and I haven't seen the light of day. And so it's, but it's so convenient, and we keep making improvements to it. We added a beautiful new marquee last year, a big video board inside the deal. The other thing is, if you're up in your room getting ready, you got the arena feed on. So the live feed is always going from the arena.
You can watch what's happening in the arena up in your room.
So instead of going down and saying, okay, I'm number 680 and they're on 100, I can sit in my room, order room service, watch the event, see what my competitors are doing, how well the cattle are working, what's the dirt look like, things of that nature. And then I can wait till I get to about 350, and then I just put my boots on and I walk downstairs. So it's the convenience level, the amenities that we have in addition to it that's connected to it, has made it just a wonderful, wonderful facility.
So you got up to about 2005. Mr. Gaughan's telling you to go run the equestrian center. How do you work your way from there to where you're now the boss of the place? So
I went back after the equestrian center. I wanted to get back I wanted to be on the casino side. It's I love the arena and I love the equestrian portion of it, but gaming, I want to be in the gambling joint. So he said, all right, well, go down to the Barbary Coast. So they shipped me back down there where I just come from, and because they promoted the GM there to the Orleans, so I took the GM spot at the Barbary Coast. So it would have been 2006.
Okay.
And
is this all still with Kenny Epstein, Mike Nolan, all those guys?
Kenny was
around?
there, Mike Nolan was not. But yeah, Mr. Epstein, he was still there. He was probably the last of those old-time guys that were still there. Steve Morrill was still there. Shelley Essex, who's my hotel director now, was there.
Okay.
And I walk in the door and I sit down and the phone rings and it says, "Hey Ryan, Bill Boyd," because at the time we had merged. I said, "Hey, Mr. Boyd," he said, "just wanted to congratulate you on this deal," and he says, he goes, "But I just want to let you know we just sold the place." And I was like, "Oh man, they put me on the ship and shipped it out to sea." And he says, "But hey, we want to keep you, but I just let you know for the next 3 months we're going to be working on this transition. You can't say anything." And again, what a great experience. So then I was working with the guys at Caesars who bought the place.
They bought it then, yep.
They bought it, and so for 3 months, me and my counterpart at the Flamingo would meet once a week, and we were working through the deal pieces. And again, just a great learning experience. And then finally, the deal closed. And the guy said, "Hey, we got an opportunity down in Florida." So we just got rid of a place. Well, they just acquired Dania Highlight down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And he says, we need a guy on the ground down there. And again, single, no kids, that's great. It's March in South Florida, which is pretty good gig. And I said, let's go. So we closed the Barbary Coast deal at like 3 in the morning. We wrapped kind of everything up by 8. We were on a plane at 2 in the afternoon, flew to Fort Lauderdale. The next morning at 8 a.m., we finalized the deal for Dania Highlight. And then I lived on the ground there they said 3 months, and I ended up being down there for 7 months.
Okay.
But just
so that was with Boyd.
That was with Boyd. So Boyd Gaming purchased Dania Highlight. And then about when I was down there, Michael Gaughan decided that he didn't care for the corporate lifestyle, if you will. He likes to be on the ground. He's very hands-on, didn't want to be in the corporate offices. And he was more of an operator. He still is to this day. This morning, he's downstairs moving sportsbook chairs around, trying to figure out how we're going to handle social distancing on NFL Sunday. And he's literally moving, and he asked the guy to get out of a chair. The guy's got a hot dog in his hand, and he's got papers in his other hand. He says, can you get up for 1 second, please? And the guy gets up and looks at him like, who the hell are you? And he moves the chair 3 feet. He goes, okay, go ahead, sit back down. But so he got rid of he took the South Coast, turned to the South Point. I was still in Florida, and then things stalled in Florida. We were looking in Florida. You have to publicly report your numbers. So win per unit on the slots is in there, hold percentages. It's all on the website. And so we're looking at these figures that there was 3 other casinos operating in Broward County. It had to be a pari-mutuel facility. So there's a dog track, a harness track, a thoroughbred track, and a high life fronton. And we had the high life fronton. The other 3 were already operating with slot machines. And the numbers they were doing with the tax rate that they had down there, I think tax rate was like 56%.
Right.
They said, time. This is what we had envisioned isn't going to work. Come on home while we figured this out. I said, okay. So I came home, and they put me at Sam's Town as director of operations, and loved it over there. Obviously, a very different property than I'd been used to, but a wonderful team they had in place there. And I was there for 2.5 years. And then finally, Mr. Gaughan, Horst Jura, who was a longtime Flamingo Hilton guy, worked at the Orleans.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yep, Mr. Jura. Yeah. He passed away this year, too. He retired from the South Point, and Mr. Gaughan called and said, you want to come back? And I said, yes, please. And I got there July 23rd, 2010. And now it's already been.
So it's been 10 years. And you were the general manager right then?
Right away,
You made your general manager. And how, you mentioned it, but how did he know your dad?
My dad, it depends on who you ask. My grandpa owned a bar in Omaha, Nebraska. And apparently Mr. Gaughan had been in there several times while potentially not of age. And he showed up on his 21st birthday, and one of his friends said, hey, why don't you buy him a drink? And my grandpa was known not for buying any drinks for anyone whatsoever, except for Christmas Eve. All drinks were free. And he said it's his 21st birthday, and he just looked at him and kind of gave him a look, because my grandpa didn't appreciate it at the time, drinking in there underage, obviously. And my dad was the bartender. And so they got to know each other then. And then it's kind of an incredible story in its own right. But Mr. Gaughan was at Creighton. My dad was at Creighton. Mr. Gaughan moves to Vegas. Afterwards, he went to USF, and then he went to Creighton. Then he went to USC for his master's degree. And then he ends up in Las Vegas running casinos. Well, my dad in 1978 was an FBI agent. He had gone on to become an attorney.
Yeah.
And
he was somehow connected to Oscar Goodman, because I invited you to a dinner series. You didn't show up, but Oscar was like, I think Mr. Growney's going to come, and he's been after me for a few years.
Different guy, yeah. So my dad, he wanted to be an attorney for the Bureau, and he went to law school, got his law degree in Omaha, and then he ended up going into the recruitment office, and they said, what do you think about being an agent? And he said, okay, let's do that. And so he became an FBI agent, and he went to New York and Washington, D.C., and some other locations. And then finally they said, hey, we have an opportunity in Las Vegas.
As an FBI agent.
As an FBI agent.
Wow.
And my mom was a switchboard operator for the FBI, which gave them a wonderful undercover opportunity. So they moved here, and they lived across the street from Tony Spilotro, who Mayor Goodman would often represent.
That makes sense.
And so they were living across the street from Spilotro undercover. And one day they got found out, so they pulled him out and they put him somewhere until the trial.
How'd they get found out?
He was meeting with the superior officers down the street somewhere, and one of Tony's guys was driving by and sees them in the car together. And they don't know for sure if he was spotted, but they said, let's go ahead and get you out of there.
Wow.
And so they pulled him out, and then they were waiting for the trial, and then Spilotro ends up dead in a cornfield.
Right.
And then he just stayed in town, and he worked as an FBI agent.
Crazy.
On various a lot of great stories. That could take up another whole hour in and of itself. But yeah, he was still involved with trying to get the mob out of town. So him and Michael Gaughan couldn't really be. Michael was never affiliated with the mob. But back then, all the casino guys, you didn't know who was who in the zoo.
Yep.
So they would meet sometimes just to discuss things that were going on, and they had kept their friendship from Nebraska. And then finally, the mob kind of went away, and my dad ended up retiring about in 1993, I think. And Mr. Gaughan was going to make him his head of security at one of at the Gold Coast, and the guy that was head of security at the Gold Coast wasn't ready to retire yet. So Mr. Gaughan says, well, I'm building this place down the road called the Orleans. Why don't you keep an eye on the Gold Coast? And he became general manager of the Gold Coast Hotel and Casino.
Wow.
And he did that for 13 years, and now he retires, and he still lives here and golfs 5 days a week at Las Vegas Country Club.
Can he beat you?
Not anymore. Yeah, he could for a really, really long time.
We'll have to get out of the country club together sometime.
That'd be fun. He'd love that.
Okay, so I want to ask you, so everybody here at the Plaza talks about Jackie Gaughan. And I actually only ever met him from a distance, never got to know him, but people that have worked here for 30, 40, 50 years say he was the best owner ever, shook everybody's hands, got to know everybody, took the time to sit with you, really treated the place like a home, like a family. Is Michael the same?
Exactly.
And that's where he got it from?
I believe so. I didn't get to spend much time with Mr. Gaughan Sr. By the time that I came around, he was kind of out of the operation. And towards the end of his life, obviously there was some. He wasn't all collectively there. But for that man, every day he'd get up and put a suit on, and he'd come downstairs and he'd collect cocktail glasses and he'd take it to the bar and thank the cocktail waitress. And
he lived there at the South Point?
He lived at the Cortez.
Oh.
He lived at the Cortez.
When we bought the Plaza and the Las Vegas Club, he moved over to he kept the El Cortez, and he lived upstairs there.
Yep, and it was in the deal that he got to die there. And so he'd still come down.
Well, wasn't it true that they kept the poker game going just for him as well?
There was one table and one chair for him. And he'd come down every day, and he wasn't as good of a poker player as he used to be. I'll just say that. And so Mr. Gaughan says, hey, if this ever gets, keep an eye on him. If these guys are taking advantage, give me a call. And about 2 months later, the poker room manager called Mr. Gaughan and said, sir, I just want to let you know he's up to about 2 a day. He goes, he's losing $2,000 a day in poker? He goes, oh, no, sir, 200. He goes, okay, he'll be all right. and that was he just wanted to remain there until he died. And this would have been 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, not that long ago. He took a turn for the worse, and they decided that the best thing for him would be to put him in a home. And as they were taking him there, he really took a turn for the worse, and they put him in a hospital, and the family gathered, and he died the next day. So he said, if you ever take me out of here, that'll be the end of me. And apparently he was right. Wow. But to your point, all the stories I've heard about Jackie and all the people that work for Jackie that are still with us today, Dave Jensen, one of the guys, you can really tell the influence that Mr. Gaughan Sr. had on Michael Gaughan, because he is the exact same way. I mean, he is the greatest. You've gotten to know him. I love him to death. Some people growing up wanted to be Michael Jordan. I wanted to be Michael Gaughan.
You want to be Michael Gaughan?
One, because I couldn't jump over a stool, but still, he just the level of love he has from his employees and we walked around today looking at the sportsbook setup that we're going to do for NFL, and four customers walked up just to shake his hand, and 3 employees walked up and said, thank you for my job, sir, and for bringing us back and being so great. And that was in a matter of 30 minutes walking around. I mean, it
must be constant for him.
It's amazing. Yeah, it really. He's just he's an incredible human being.
And he does his sort of family style lunch 3 days a week, right? Yep. Sometimes I'll be invited, just come up there, sit there, and he's always there every day. He still has the old style phone at the table in case someone wants to contact him. Yeah,
his granddaughter, she wanted to be able to text him good morning and good night. So he broke down and finally got a cell phone, but he didn't have one forever. So every meal we had or every location we had a meeting, there'd always be a portable phone on the table. And when we sit down, I'd call the operator and say, this is Ryan Growney. I got Michael Gaughan, Dave Jensen, Greg Fisher, Frank Toady here for lunch. And we'd just check in. So if he got any calls to the property, they knew where to route them. And that's just, it's an old, like at the Barbary Coast in the back corner booth, when there was no portable phones, there was the red bat phone right there. Mm-hmm. That was just where it was. You check in, that phone rings, it's for one of the guys at the booth, and just old school, man. It's wonderful.
He's a legend. He really is.
He's a
but
legend.
The way they speak about Mr. Gaughan Sr. here is exactly the same. People here just love that guy.
Yep.
They love, and for me, it was one of the things I tried to learn the most about was, well, how can you be more like Jackie then? Because he made this place successful. When he opened this in 1971, this was the place. I mean, this place was packed. The plaza, that is. And it was all because of him, and he loved the place. I mean, he was in here every day, they said.
And if Mr. Gaughan is in town, he's at the South Point every single day. And just walking around, and he'll just walk, the phone will ring, and you got to go. Usually, got to go through 3 secretaries to get to the owner. He'll just pick up the phone.
Yeah, oh no.
If it's a big complaint, he'll say, "Hold on a second, Ryan, pick up line 1." But otherwise, he'll talk to them and get them set up. And even if he doesn't know who they are, he'll just say whatever they need. He takes care of. Yeah, he's incredible.
He really treats like a family. I mean, you guys have all been there. You'll never leave. You yourself will never leave. But the other guys have all been there 10, 20, 30 years, right?
40. Yeah, we might. So he was going to have his first 50-year employee. And unfortunately, Fred died maybe a year ago, and he had a year and a half to go to be a 50-year employee.
Wow.
Greg Pike is at 48 and a half years. So we think he'll be and he's doing pretty good. So we think he'll be the first 50-year employee that Michael has. And
what are you going to do for 50?
You just get a bigger trophy. So every year we do a 10-year, 20-year, 30-year, 40-year. And it used to be if you were there for 30 years, we do an annual employee banquet. So we bring in the employees of the month and select the employees of the year, and then we do our service awards, where we bring in anyone that's worked for us for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And 30 years used to be the max. And if you were there for 30 years, you get the other ones get to come up. You get a trophy or a whatever it is, glass. Yeah. Crystal, beautiful vase commemorating 10, 20 years. And on your 30th year, you got to get up and give a speech. Well, you can always tell the anniversaries, the decade anniversaries of the Gold Coast or the Suncoast or the Orleans, because all those employees moved over. They kept their seniority. So you'd always have 30-year on the anniversary of the Gold Coast. We had like 30-year employees. We said we can't let all of them speak. So then it got bumped to 40 years. So now you got to make it 40 years.
You got to make 40 to
And if you make 40, you get to get up and give a speech.
You might have the same problem in a few years when
we
they
had 4 this last
4?
year. 40-year employees that have been working for Michael Gaughan for 40 years. I just turned 40 in January. I mean, it's just incredible when you think about it.
Well, when I took over here and I got the license, there was a bartender who'd been here 39 years. And I wasn't 39 yet.
Yeah,
he worked you longer than I'd been alive.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I don't know. For the 50, we'll have to do something fun for him. But that's it. And they would do a huge spread, and to see all these employees get dressed up, and we spend so much time together, but you never really sit down and share a meal, right, or share a cocktail, or we do a big cocktail reception, and we decorate the room nicer than we decorate New Year's Eve. I mean, we go all out for this.
Are all the employees invited?
Nope, just the service employees plus guests. And then we have 12 back of house, 12 front of house, and 12 supervisors of the month, right? One of each for each month. And then we bring the 12 front of house employees on stage. And then at that point, we just draw. Because to select an employee of the month is possible, but to select the employee of the year out of those 12, it's impossible. I mean, they're so good. How do you differentiate them? So we put their 12 names in a hat, and we draw one out, and that's the employee of the year, and they get a $2,500 travel voucher and a week off with pay and some other things. And then we do that for the back of house employees.
I hope you're writing this all down.
Yeah,
you should be writing this all down.
And we do that for all 3 categories.
They've been doing this a long time, all right? They know we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah. And it's just it's a wonderful evening. It truly is. And to see and hear some of those stories for people that I've been working for 30 and 40 years is incredible.
Very cool. So I think that, Jonathan kind of has a hotel crush on the South Point and loves everything that you're doing. He always talks about
Wait, everybody doesn't?
Well, I do too. We all do. But so we started Core Arena.
Yeah, we don't say we copied you, but I always tell people if the plaza can just be like a small fraction of what the South Point is between what you guys do with bingo, rodeo. You have the bowling alley, which is impossible to compete with.
That's
that thing
pretty
is.
good.
How many lanes do you have?
Well, we have 60 lanes in the tournament facility.
Right.
And then we have 64 lanes in the normal bowling center.
It's tough to
so 124 lanes under one roof, yeah.
Yeah, but the bingo we sort of own downtown. We're the only ones. And then we try to get into the rodeo game in a very, very small way. You have no weekends available. We only have 4 weekends where we use it. But like you said, you got to start somewhere.
We only had 4 or 5 the first
when you started,
week.
yeah.
And it's big, man. I mean, it's all of the guys in the rodeo world have become pretty good friends of mine. So the Resistol guys, all the NFR guys, the World Series of Team Roping guys, and it's Cowboys cool again. I mean, Resistol had their number 1 year last year, number of hats sold, and call it for whatever reason it is, and there's political reasons and there's other reasons, but it's cool again, and so it's been fun. So those groups, we have some small, we have quite a few groups that they're just too small for us. I mean, it'd just be too. It's not.
Send them our way.
We will, we absolutely will, and I think we've tried a couple.
How devastating is it that it probably won't be here in December, the NFR, for our town, for our business?
Absolutely. I mean, December. Anybody guesses what our number one month of the year is, no one would ever guess December, but it's not even close. It's December by far, and it's only because of those 2 weeks.
Right.
Now, we do the NFR plus the World Series of Team Roping, which people always think, oh, my God, everyone from the NFR is there. Well, we kind of cheat a little bit. So the opening week, we do the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association Convention, and then we do Benny Binion Buck and Horse and Bull Sale. We do the Nightly Buckle Awards for after the NFR, but we also have the third richest equestrian event in the world, the World Series of Team Roping, that takes place that first Saturday through the following Sunday, and it's 5,000.
After the NFR?
No, during.
During NFR.
It's during. So it's so Thursday, Friday, Saturday is PRCA stuff, and then Sunday starts the World Series of Team Roping, and they team rope every day, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They give away $14 million in prize money. So it's 5,000 contestants. Just an amazing event. So if you take that and then all the other things that the NFR brings, Cowboy Christmas, all the country entertainment that comes to town, all the people that come to town that never even go to the rodeo, but the viewing parties that you have available to you, that you just want to sit and watch the rodeo in a ballroom. I mean, it's the greatest 2 weeks of the year anywhere in the world if you're a Western way of life and a rodeo fan, or especially if you're a team roper. So it's devastating. But there's been so many devastating things. How devastating is it there's no March Madness? How devastating is we're not starting with the full college football season? How devastating? I mean, it's the devastation is just endless.
You can pick your poison, but that was, we just started getting into it and saw these very small impact from it, but it was big for us. And boy, is it devastating.
And Michael Gaughan, and they always laugh, but he played an integral part of bringing the rodeo here. And if you ask him, all he did was send his plane back to Oklahoma to sign the agreement. That's what he says his contribution was.
But they will do NFR in another town. They're just not going to do it in Vegas without the fans, because it doesn't make sense to do it without the fans. You can't.
Without the fans, you don't have the Las Vegas events money. Without the Las Vegas events money, you can't pay for the rodeo.
And the Cowboy, they don't get to earn anything.
Right. So we did, if you guys get in a pickle and you just want to announce a world champion and can scrape together some money, it would be smaller prize fund, but we'd be happy. And so and Mr. Gaughan very generously gave them a very nice offer in case they got in a real bind, just needed a place to have a rodeo. But they are aggressively pursuing some other states that will give them fans. And if it's 5,000 fans or 10,000 fans or 20,000 fans, and there's all kinds of rumors out there of where they might go. But we're not speculating on any of them. But we told them, you guys, if you can get some money in these Cowboys' hands that have had the worst year they've ever had, because there weren't any. I think they said at the end of the year with some makeups, they're going to pay out 60% of the prize money that they would pay in a normal year, which is pretty good, but it's still 40% off. So if you can get these Cowboys and Cowgirls some prize money, take it to another state.
Just for 1 year.
Just for 1 year.
They'll be back.
Out of the contract for 1 year. Yeah. There was talk about adding a year on the end of the contract, and I don't know where that ended up. But they'll be back next year and better than ever. But this year, if they can land somewhere and get some fans, because the fans, I mean, that's
you can't do without fans.
They can't do without. It's just not the same. Yeah. So we'll see where they land. We wish them the best. We hope they land. We hope they get full prize money, and it's a great experience for the contestants that go there. There's nowhere that can do it the way we can. I mean, and one, we have a contract in place, so that's not a concern. And I think wherever it goes, they're going to say, "Wow, that was great." They have 97 days till it starts
to put it on.
So I don't think they're going to be. We've been doing it for 30-something years. So the experience will be a little diminished, just not being in Vegas and all the things that we do. But we look forward.
And we as a town will participate.
Correct.
You know what I mean? You got the entertainment, you got the shows. So who out there on the south side? Where's your competition? Do you have competition?
Sure, we always got competition. Obviously, the closest two are Silverton and the M, which because of room capacity and things of that nature aren't much. So we pay attention when we look at room rates. We're looking at the larger kind of, I don't want to call them secondary. It's not Aria, it's not Wynn, it's not Venetian, but it's Monte Carlo, it's Luxor. We pay attention to Excalibur from the room standpoint, just because of the number.
So you
of
look at the strip for your room
Sure.
for room competition.
Yeah, because we're on the strip, right? And we have 2,200 hotel rooms, so it's not the M has 400 rooms. So obviously their room rate's going to be incredibly higher than ours is. So we look at room hotels that have similar room capacity as well as similar convention space, because that's so much of what we do to fill 2,000 rooms. We're on Las Vegas Boulevard, but we're out there pretty far south. And then but we're also 60% of our carded coin in is local. So on all the casino promotions, on the slot promotions, on when we're comparing beverage prices and food prices, we're looking at the local properties, and in particular, probably Green Valley Ranch and Red Rock. We look at the hardest, and then we're always looking at Boyd as well. So just to make sure we're in line where we want to be. But that's why I tell everybody it's such a wonderful property, because most places is one or the other. You're either a locals joint or you're a destination joint on the Strip. Well, we're both. We have 2,200 hotel rooms. We have 11 restaurants. We have a beautiful spa, beautiful barbershop. So it's a great hotel destination. We have 160,000 square feet of meeting and convention space. So it's a great destination hotel. But then I got a movie theater, 2 bowling centers. And then we have the affordable pricing of our food department. Our drinks, Mr. Gaughan has always said, good food, low prices, cheap drinks, and the people are going to show up. Just give them a fair shake.
Similar to Benny Binion's
Very
famous
similar.
quote. But you mentioned him. Did you ever get to meet him?
Benny?
Yeah.
No, sir.
No.
No, probably if I had to pick one person that I hadn't got to ever meet in this town, it'd be Benny. I see him every day.
Yeah, on the horse.
We got a big, I don't know.
He told me a great story about that. He said, Mr. Gaughan said he let them bring it in there because he knew now they want it back, but there's no doors that it fits out of.
Well, at the time, I don't know if he realized they wouldn't be able to get it out, but they had to cut. So the casino wasn't finished yet. We had the south end was just under construction, and so they were able to blow a hole in the wall to get this thing in. We had to roll it like a Trojan horse. And they got it in, and then they finished the casino construction, and now there's no space to get it out. So there was conversations that maybe the family wanted to do something with it, and we said, unless you wanted to just cut it up, you can't get it out of the building.
Yeah.
And he paid $1 for it. That's the other thing. He said, what are you gonna do? He goes, I'll put it in the middle of my casino. And then Mr. Binion, so this has been Jack, said, I'll sell it to you for $1. And he said, deal. So he gave him $1, and we brought it in, and it took 3 days because it was I don't even know. I'd love to know actually where it was sitting.
It was down by Binion's?
Yeah. It was down somewhere.
2 blocks that way somewhere.
But I guess they had built up around it, so it really wasn't getting much traffic, and nobody was seeing it. And then obviously the Binions sold
to Caesars.
Yeah. And but they still owned the horse, but they had no place to put it. And then so we brought it out, but it was outside. So it took 3 days, and if you ever need to get pigeon poop off a bronze statue, you take oatmeal and a soft scrub sponge, and 2 guys for 3 days. That's all they did.
You can do it.
And now it looks as good as ever. The only thing is the nose. The nose is pretty shiny because all these cowboys, when you walk by, you rub a horse's. You rub it in between their nose and their eyeballs, and so you can tell she gets rubbed down pretty good.
Aww.
You've seen the horse right out there by the cafe we went to.
So the family wants it back. What would they do with it?
I don't know if they want it. It might have came up in casual conversation. Just one of those.
Well, they're not getting it back because they'd have to cut a hole in the south point.
It'd be very tough to get it back. And once generations go by, and there's things, legacies, parts of families that you might want to hang on to. But I mean, if they ever came, I think it's going to stay put for. I don't know where they'd put it. No idea.
Backyard?
Yeah, maybe backyard.
So how did you two meet? Do you remember?
Through Michael.
Yeah,
I think you just came to lunch one day.
Yeah.
I don't know how you and him met. Or you might even call Stallworth for the Equestrian Center.
No, I had talked to Mr. Gaughan a few times just in passing, and then one year we took a table at the gala for the Rodeo Cares or something, that charity thing you guys host.
It was
on the opening night.
Or the Hall of Fame dinner.
Hall of Fame dinner,
Yep,
yeah.
it's the Hall of Fame dinner.
So about 3 years ago, we took a table there, and I hadn't seen Mr. Gaughan for a couple of years. I introduced myself, and I said I'd love to pick his braid and talk to him. He said, call me anytime, gave me a number, and I called. He said, yeah, come down to lunch at the South Point, and Ryan joined us. And I did that like 4 or 5 times after that, where he would just say, I'm here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just show up if you want to show up.
Yep.
And that's how I got to meet Ryan, and then we played golf on Sunday, and he beat me this week.
You caught me on a bad day. Bad day for you, good day for me.
Best score he's ever had.
Yeah, best score ever had.
So yeah, just
and you
bought
a gator, or you bought a tractor, didn't you buy?
We bought the tractor at the Hall
of Fame
dinner, but that was we've been to 4 in a row now.
Okay.
So that was our 4th year. Last year we bought the Hall of Fame, a nice tractor we bought, and we haven't used it yet.
Not once?
No, well, not once because it didn't ship until March.
Oh,
and then we got shut down. We got shut down. So finally it arrived in early March. It took about 2 months, and then we got shut down. So we haven't been able to use it. Our first outdoor event is a demolition derby. We're supposed to be hosting in October, but I have a feeling it's not going to be able to happen. We'll see. Right now we're holding still, but
Yeah.
I heard you guys were able to do an event like in pockets of fans.
No, well, not yet. So we did the horse show, and no fans are allowed. Now, if you own the horse, you're a spectator, you're a trainer, you have to be able to watch the horse perform to make sure everything's going right and any change you might want to make. So we got permission. So 50 people is max. So we got 50 people in the stands. But you cannot. There's no outside. There's no tickets. You can just be in the building observing.
Okay.
But it's not a sit down, grab a bucket of popcorn and watch the event type of thing. So that goes back to the competitor portion of the horse events that we're trying to do. And then we're doing a barrel race this week, but same thing. No fans.
No fans.
We got no more than 50 people in each one of the 4 arenas, and they have very tight scheduling. So you're only allowed to warm your horse up 30 minutes before you run, and then you got to go stall them up and get out of the facility. So, but people have been just dying to do this. So the response has been great. And whenever we ask them to do, whether it's wear a mask,
Respectful of it, yeah.
Yep. And they, anything to let me show, and anything to let me train, work on this horse, because these people have spent a lot of money buying these horses, training these horses, feeding these horses, vet bills. They want to show them. I mean, that's what they're meant to do. And so they'll do anything to be able to get on the back of a horse and compete in a world-class setup like the South Point is, even if you got to wear a mask before you get on your horse and after you get off them. And so it's been great. We've had people come out and take a look at our setup. We also, the other thing we did was that we did the PBR got shut down. And to meet some TV requirements, they just wanted some things on TV, and they did one event at the Lazy E, but there was no fans, and it just looks depressing. So we brought them to Vegas, and we set up this. It's the greatest bull riding arena that no one will ever see in person. It was a 60 by 60 with video walls on all 4 sides, lights. In the announcers are in the bubble, we called it. We 60-foot pipe and drape all around the whole thing. It looked like a nightclub that they're bucking bulls in. So it had a wonderful presence on TV, and one person from the South Point at each performance had to be there just to make sure they were abiding by there's a 27-page document that they put in place. So every time the bull riders would show up, you'd have to get tested. You had to go to your room, quarantine until you got your test results back. And as long as you came back negative, then you could go into the arena only. So you could hang out in the arena, and only people that had been tested could be in the arena, and everybody else had to quarantine. Unfortunately, we did have 2 cowboys come back positive, but they went to their room. Test came back positive. We worked with the health department to get them. We rented them cars, and they came back downstairs, got in a car, and had to drive back to wherever they came from. So the plan worked beautifully. Those are the only 2 issues we had. And so that's the TV model. It's the UFC model.
Right.
The horse show is very different. It's because it's not a spectator sport. It relies on no ticket sales. It doesn't need those things to exist. We are working on the next thing we have a name on is the South Point 400 out at the Las Vegas Speedway.
Oh, I heard NASCAR's selling tickets.
They are selling, but they don't have approval to let them in yet. So there might be some refunds.
That's end of this month.
September 27th.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So in some way, shape, or form, there's no better.
I mean, what a great position you have. You're doing NASCAR, rodeos, horse racing, horse events, and then you got bingo, casino, sports
no
betting.
bingo events yet. I mean, the bingo.
But you still run a bingo game.
We do. We run a bingo game.
Still a nice little business.
We're seeing because all bingo in California is shut down. So we got a lot of Californians coming in to play bingo, but the room is at half capacity, so it's not. It's good. Don't get me wrong. It's wonderful. Right. We got the bingo. We're going to open up so we have 11 restaurants. 2 of them have remained closed this whole time. We'll reopen them on Thursday prior to the holiday weekend.
Is one of them Michael's?
Michael's has been open.
Okay.
Yeah, we opened that as soon as we were. I think it was a week after we reopened. June 4th we reopened. So a week after that, Michael's opened. But the upstairs we have 2 restaurants. The Baja Miguel's, the Mexican restaurant, and primarily Prime Rib. They're upstairs off the beaten path, so I hate seeing a restaurant closed. It's just, but they're upstairs, kind of out of the way, so it made most sense to leave them closed. But right now, we're doing enough business that when all of our restaurants are at half capacity, you can't get a reservation on Friday, Saturday night. Yep. So even if your hotel is only 35 or 40% occupied, you got to give your people a place to eat. And it's not like here where I could walk out and go across the street and find a restaurant.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
You walk out, you look left, you look right, you walk back inside. Except there's a
you got a captive audience.
Denny's
which
across
is good.
the street. So we're going to reopen those 2 restaurants, and when that happens, we'll have about 80 of our full-time employees back and employed, and we're doing okay. I mean, it's beats the hell out of what we were doing when we were completely shuttered.
Shut down.
I have a question about when you shut down, because when we shut down, it was like we have to get all these people out of the building. What did you do with all the horses? How did that?
The day we shut down, there was no horse event in we didn't have a horse event on property.
So there's only horses when there's events?
Yep. No, we don't board any horses. We do have people show up in valet, truck, and trailer, says, can I get 2 hotel rooms and 6 horse stalls? And we said, sorry, because there's such strict restrictions on, you got to have certain papers to get into the state of Nevada with any sort of equine animal. Vet check that has to take place as people are checking into the facility.
Got it.
So that we don't just let anybody come in with a horse and board in the stall. Now, we do have about 10 places that we don't recommend any of them. Just people that have called us and say, hey, I got 10 stalls, my back property, or other smaller horse boarding facilities. So we'll walk out and say, if you want to call one of these numbers, they'll board your horse for you, and then we'd be happy to give you a hotel room. And so it's become a little niche boutique horse boarding
share business.
Yeah, right, out back. So that's been kind of fun. But no, usually most of our shows, like we just finished a Rain Cow Horse event. The show ended Sunday night about 7:00. We had to get 600 horse stalls clean Monday and Tuesday, and the barrel racers show up tomorrow and Thursday, and then they'll barrel race Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They leave Monday, and then we roll into a reining horse event the following week. I mean, it's an operation. But
I mean that's going on right now.
The barrel race. So the Rain Cow Horse
up.
event just ended Sunday, and then right now we're in cleaning mode, high powered cleaning mode, and then tomorrow and Thursday barrel racers show up. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they'll race barrels, and then they'll leave, and then the Rain Cow Horse people come in. So it's a wonderful flow of business.
So you see, I think people have a misconception. I was talking about this with someone earlier, that Vegas is dead and that there's nothing going on here, but there's people here. It's busy. I mean, you're running these events. You said the other day to me your casino's as busy as can be with all the restrictions in place. You know, I think people in the outside world are thinking it's like a ghost town here.
Yeah.
And sure, midweek and the strip might be a little slower, but there's a lot of people here. And
the bars being closed is probably the biggest complaint, right?
Yeah.
But no, our locals they were ready to come out, and I mean they stuck at home long enough. And for a lot of my locals, my employees are their family, right? They come in 3 or 4 or 5 times a week, and so they came back very quickly. The casino numbers have been great. We oddly enough, we had started a poker remodel about a month before the closure, and we were expanding the room. So we added 10. We're at 30 tables now, and the room is much more spacious, which now turns out to be, looks like we're geniuses, because we were able to expedite that schedule. We were going to do it in 2 halves. We just said do the whole thing, and then by the time we reopened, we had 30 tables. We have more square foot per table than any room in town, so it's got a nice spread out feel. And then we put plexiglass on every single table, so we're going 8-handed. So we're number 1 or number 2 poker room in town right now, which we were always near the top, but we're doing better poker business than we ever have. And then the other gaming departments are they're definitely there. I mean, it's there, especially when we're only doing 15-16% occupied during the week and 25 to 35% on the
Which
weekend.
Is on purpose. You've raised your rates.
We did raise our rates a little bit,
just
to make sure we're getting the people in the building that we want in the building, and
it's smart. Downtown hasn't got to that point. We've all dropped rates too low.
But I got my locals, so
you got locals,
I didn't. I at half occupancy. If my hotel was full, I wouldn't have enough slot machines. I wouldn't have enough table games. So it's like I said, it's just such a benefit of being a destination hotel and a locals property. The joint of those two things really has just been a wonderful combination.
Is the bowling room open?
It is. So we're going every other lane. The tournament facility is not. And I mean, I think we did 100-person, so 100 people on a 60-lane bowling tournament facility. It's 90,000 square feet. It's no problem. But we do have the bowling center is open 7 a.m. to midnight, and every other lane. So there is some open bowling. We do have some league bowling, but again, they operate under the same restrictions and that were in the opening document, and we've had some success there. People, same thing though, right? If you're a bowler, you want to come out and bowl. If you want to ride a horse, you want to come out and show your horse. You want to play bingo, that's your thing. You want to come out and play bingo. So they're willing to abide by any rules we put out there. And you're always going to have a couple people that feel like they shouldn't have to follow those rules, and we kindly ask them to exit the building, and we go on with our day.
Very politely put.
Yeah.
Are there any big plans for 2021, 2020?
Survive 2020. Yeah. Survive 2020.
It's a good plan.
Yeah, we don't. So we just completed a remodel of every single one of our regular hotel rooms in 19, and then in 20 we came back and remodeled all of our hallways. So the entire hotel tower minus the suites are everything. From we took it all the way down to the concrete, from carpet to paint to crown molding furniture. We added refrigerators to the room. We added Keurigs to the room. It's a wonderful room product. So that was obviously a very large. It's 21, so 2,000. 47 rooms that we've redone. We were planning on doing the suites in 2021. We might wait to see what happens, right? We want to make sure that we're being responsible with whatever we have available to us. So I don't know what the next big project will be. I think we'll kick back. Let's wait and see how this all fleshes out. And then
see when we get back to being open bars,
exactly.
full capacity.
Exactly. So
all those things, yeah.
Yeah, we're probably won't spend much more money at the end of this year, and then we'll see where we land at the end of this. And I don't know when's it going to end, and no one can tell me exactly when it's going to end.
What do you think?
I honestly, since February 17th, I've been wrong every single day. So I quit guessing. I just get on all the calls. I try to take as much information in as I can. And then we have plans in place that say, okay, if it's this, we'll do this. If it's this, we'll do this. And I think there's a chance we get bars. I mean, we've been doing pretty well. I think we got a shot at getting bars back in the next couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks maybe. As far as fans in arenas, I have no idea. Yeah,
I don't think it can't be this year.
Yeah.
Can't be this year.
Until you get a vaccine, I think fans in arenas or even stadiums is challenging, both from an operational standpoint and will the public show up? So I have no guess on that. And I've quit.
It's funny. It's a great question because we have the World Market Convention downtown, the furniture, and everyone's like, well, they're going to do it, and they did it. And at first they said they'd be at 50% occupancy. People aren't showing up for it.
Really?
You know what I mean? They're showing up, but it's good they did it, but it's 20% of what it was.
Right.
And I think they were thinking they could get to 40, 50%. But there's still people that can't travel, don't want to travel, aren't comfortable yet to stay in places. So, I mean, you're right. It's one thing to do it, and then are people even going to show up?
Right, and then make that kind of investment and go all out for it, and then you don't get the response. So I honestly have no idea. So we're focusing on what we can control, like the horse shows, some of those bowling tournaments. The next we don't have a big bowling tournament until January, military bowling, but we've already made that's in January. We've made them aware that your wives, your husbands, your kids will not be allowed to come in and watch you bowl as of now. Now, hopefully by then it's changed, and I really do hope that it does. I hope that's a long ways away still. But like I said, from February 17th, I've been wrong. I quit guessing.
Don't worry, you're not the only one. We've all been wrong.
Frustrated, and so we're just as soon as new rules come out, we put plans in place. We implement to the best of our ability. NFL Sunday is going to be tough. So I'm hoping. Unfortunately, college isn't playing on Saturday. I'm hoping the NFL says, well, let's throw some games on Saturday. Why wouldn't we split this card up a little bit and get some games on TV? And hopefully it's the Raiders.
You think they'll do that? Is that a possibility? I haven't heard that at all. I agree with you. That'd be a great idea. Yeah.
What the hell's the difference?
There's no Saturday football at this point.
Well, there'll be some college games, but not enough to where I don't know. Maybe it's not possible. I don't see why it wouldn't be though.
Yeah.
And get some of those games off that morning purely for selfish reasons because my sports book is so crowded on Sunday. So we had 180 seats. We took out 120 of them and spread them all out all over the book. We've added satellite viewing areas and 50-person sections where we had to add chairs. We're putting up projector screens and any little space that we have that we can separate out just to give someone a place to sit down and watch the games. We're adding satellite. Well, we added 6 kiosks to the floor so people can come in and get their bet in. We're promoting the phone app so we can quote unquote safely keep you in action.
Home. Yep.
Yeah. And
I can't believe it's next Sunday.
I know.
Well, because no preseason doesn't feel like it's really happening.
And who knows? With no events or no anything, I don't even know what day. I mean, it's like every month's just the kind of the same. But it's going to be big. It's but now how many people come out for NFL football? I don't know. I mean, I think you're going to have some people that aren't say I'm not going out in that crazy crowd.
Yeah.
Even if it is all my chairs are 6 feet apart and all those things, still probably not going to want to do it. And then, but
they've legalized sports betting in so many other states since the last 2 years. So.
Also true. Yeah. But again, our locals. That's where we're.
Yeah, your locals.
Yeah, we're locals. But so it's NFL Week 1. Right, people are. We've had some hockey, we've had some baseball, but football's the king, but not only that, but the Las Vegas Raiders kick off at 10 a.m. opening Sunday.
Yeah.
So that they are going to be. Everybody's going to want to come in and get a commemorative. I'm just going to bet on the game for $5 to say I had the first sport ticket on Las Vegas Raiders ever. And that's a true statement.
I didn't even think about that. I'm going to go do that right now.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even bet on
You got to have it. You got to have it. And everybody's going to want to do it.
Are they playing in the stadium?
And they're going to lose, so you won't have to cash in your ticket, so you can just keep your ticket.
Everybody says that. But if piece of paper, just photocopy it, cut it out, bring the real one in, cash it, and then no one's going to know that.
You won't be cashing. Trust me if you bet the Raiders.
What?
We don't know that. We'll have to see. But that is true. Without any preseason, it's hard on the bookmakers to make sure these lines are right, and you kind of got to take the feel of the betting public to see where those lines are going to land. But it'll be that Sunday morning and we got stanchions ready that say, I'm sorry, no more people in the space. And if you guys want to hang out over here, we'll let you in.
Yeah, we got to think about
as
that.
10 or 20 leave. But it'll be that Sunday morning will be as hectic as it's been this whole time, right? Because everything else we just shut down. The bars are shut down.
Right.
So that we get through that, and then everything else is kind of been pretty smooth.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing what's to come in the future, and hopefully only good things.
Hopefully only good things. We can't get much worse, but but
business-wise.
To your point, I mean, it's the people that are here, they're enjoying themselves. Yep. They're having a good time. So I was on another call, a national travel call or show, and said, hey, when you're ready, we're here. And when you get here, and you haven't heard any issues of anybody coming through the properties and catching the virus. With the amount of the temperature screenings, the mask on everybody, all the things that we have in place, it seems like the properties are being very responsible, and it is a safe place to come into. I mean, if you want to come in, the only person you're going to come in anywhere within 6 feet is an employee, if it's a cocktail waiter serving you a drink, or a food server serving you a meal, maybe a blackjack dealer throwing you a card. Well, we temp screen all of them. There's masks on all of them. We're giving them the wellness check as they come in the door, and if anything does come up, there's very quick contact tracing, and so it has been safer. Even though I know there has been some publications out there that are saying, through the phone tracing and this and that, but we haven't seen any.
Well,
of that,
but let me tell you, not everyone is doing it the way you and I are necessarily doing it. Some
true.
places are doing. I went to a place last night I won't mention. No temperature checks until you got to the front desk. Not much social distancing, not the same level of attention that I feel. So it's different across the board.
That's a good point. So, I mean, I guess I'm just
But you still haven't heard
speaking for the South Point. But
right.
yeah, you still haven't heard much.
You haven't
about
heard
it.
of that stuff.
And
yet.
I'm telling you, if they come out and they loosen a little bit, the enforcement portion, I think, is going to have a lot more bite to it. So those places that you're speaking about, they'll go in and say, okay, you're down for 24 hours or whatever it is. And then if you do it again, you're down for a week, and do it again, you're down.
Yeah, no, it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down. They're going to come down with a little more bite, because it's not fair for the places that are doing it right to be held back by places that might not be taking it as seriously. Yeah. So it'll be interesting. The next couple of weeks, I think, will tell a lot. And unfortunately, it might be too late for some of these events, PBR, NFR, what have you, to make any significant difference, because, well, NFR it's gone. But PBR, it's still in play. So that's a big thing for us as well. But we do the Velocity Tour Finals, Backseat Buckers, Heroes and Legends, and the PBR Fan Zone. And I can't imagine any of those taking place, even if the World Finals does take place. But we're trying, and hopefully timelines, you run out of time, and then you just got to move on to the next thing, and that's what we're doing. Well,
thank you, Ryan. I appreciate you joining us here on the
pleasure.
podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Anytime.
You can learn more about the South Point Hotel and Casino at www.southpoint.com and on Twitter at SouthPointLV. We'll be back again soon, but in the meantime, please let us know how we're doing and send us your questions. Just email us at podcast@plazahotelcasino.com, or go right to the top and tweet Jonathan at Jonathan Jossel. Also, please follow us on social media. On Twitter and Instagram, it's at PlazaPod, and on Facebook, you can find us at Plaza Podcast. We'll see you next time from right here on the corner of Main Street.